Frances Ha.
Yeah.
Loved Frances Ha. It immediately jumped to my second favorite movie of the year after only Blancanieves. This is the film directed by Noah Baumbach, written by Baumbach and Greta Gerwig, starring Greta Gerwig. And the plot is about Greta Gerwig's character, Frances, is living in New York City with her best friend and, going through her daily life. She doesn't have a great job. She's doing sort of the things she wants to do, she thinks, but it doesn't really seem like it's going that well from our perspective. Her relationship is ending. All this sort of negative stuff is happening to her, but she's got her best friend there, and that seems to be the main thing that she cares about. And then her best friend's ready to move on, ready to move in with somebody else, ready to start, this new, get serious with her boyfriend. And that's when her life sort of starts to crumble a bit. And somehow that's charming. That is, and I think at the end of this movie, you can't feel bad at the end of this movie. You've watched this character get dragged through the dirt for the longest time. It's a very awkward sort of watch, but I think if I had to describe the sort of theme of this movie in one phrase, I think it would be, you'll figure it out. It's very comforting in that way, because by the end of the movie, you're kind of feeling pretty good that she's sort of on track, even though she's going through this sort of comedy of errors and regressing to this insane degree, to a degree I think most of us would feel like, I've never been more of a failure in my entire life with some of the things she actually does. What did you think?
Yeah. Have you seen any of Baumbach's directed films?
I have not, and I feel bad about that.
Well, it's interesting. Have you seen them?
I've seen a few.
Which have you seen?
Nothing. I feel like I have.
Any of the early ones, like Kicking and Screaming?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah. His early films, like Kicking and Screaming and Mr. Jealousy with Eric Stoltz, are actually closer in spirit, I think, to this one than some of the more recent ones, like The Squid and the Whale and Margot at the Wedding, which I also kind of like. But those are kind of like a cinema of cruelty kind of movies. Whereas this one has some squirm-inducing moments too. But it's kind of more a little bit lighter, kind of like I think the early ones were. And I love how the film and I say this as someone who's never been to New York, but I love how the chapters are divided by addresses.
Yes,
the fact that wherever she happens to be living at the time is sort of a whole new chapter in her life, and that's kind of how New Yorkers identify themselves and by where they live.
And it was funny. There was one address that was in a different place, and the whole audience just groaned like, oh no, like you just feel the failure as her addresses change,
Yeah, and just funny things like the trip to Paris. And, just sort of random, impulsive, not very well thought out decisions she makes.
It's like this is a girl who's making very bad decisions with her life, and that's one of the best parts of the movie, because every bad decision you think, oh, well, this could work out if this happens. Well, this might be okay if this happens. And then she misses everything by like 2 days.
Yeah. It's just, I haven't been there, but I've been there. I think we all have in that sense. I also have one detail where she goes back to her old college, and she's sort of like a waitress, or sort of not, but she gets one day a very important job where there's this money donor who visits, and Greta Gerwig's character Frances is responsible for following the donor around with a bottle of wine and keeping the wine glass full at all times. And it's just, oh man,
in a university environment that feels a little familiar.
It does. It does.
Those sorts of people do exist in the university environment. The other thing I loved about it was how it kind of really takes a close look at female relationships between two platonic female friends, and how that sort of almost works like a committed romantic relationship, at least emotionally. And that's sort of what the theme of it is. It's like she's been betrayed by this person she thought was going to be with her forever, and she wants to go off and do all these other things. And but But yeah, you'll figure it out. I think that's the theme of the film by the time you get to the end. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I really enjoyed it too. And the audience, it was a great audience. They really liked it and applauded at the end.
Yeah.
And they seemed to really enjoy it too.
Yeah. A Place for Film is recorded at WFIU Studios in Bloomington, Indiana.